Romans owned a variety of animals, ranging from the familiar dogs and cats to more exotic creatures like birds, monkeys, and even fish. In this video, we're going to explore the types of pets the Romans kept, their treatment of these animals, and how pets were depicted in primary sources. Also, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons and hit the notification bell for more history content. Dogs were perhaps the most common pets in ancient Rome, and if a Roman saw our treatment of dogs today, it wouldn't be alien to them. Certain breeds were specifically used as guard dogs, while others, such as small lap dogs, were primarily companions to the wealthy elite. Dogs also helped in hunting and were kept to protect homes from intruders. They were also kept by shepherds, functioning much the same as sheepdogs do today. Notably, Roman legions kept ferocious dogs called Molossian hounds, while they're often referred to as quote-unquote Roman war dogs. Their primary purpose was to go on patrols with Roman soldiers, and they were rarely intentionally brought to combat. Dogs also appear to have been used for the purposes of recreation, as many surviving depictions of them show them wearing leashes. The fondness for dogs is evident in archaeological finds, like mosaics that often depicted these animals, as well as written records that mention their role in Roman households. Cats were also present in Roman homes, but they were not nearly as popular as dogs. Their primary role was practical, keeping rodents away. Unlike the Egyptians who revered cats, Romans didn't seem to hold them in the same level of esteem, though they were still appreciated for their ability to protect from pests. Notably, once the Romans took over Egypt in the late 1st century BC, a fascination with cats began as a byproduct of Egyptians' fascination with felines. Birds, particularly songbirds, were popular amongst well-to-do Romans. Parrots and other exotic birds were also kept, especially by wealthier citizens who valued them for their vibrant colors and ability to mimic human speech. Birds were often seen as status symbols, adding to the cultural prestige of their owners. Mosaics and wall paintings frequently showed birds in cages, suggesting their importance in the domestic life of the upper classes. Besides dogs, cats, and birds, Romans also kept monkeys, mostly Barbary macaques, which were imported from what is now Tunisia and Algeria. Monkeys, though amusing, were often considered dangerous or unpredictable. In addition, more extravagant animals were kept by the wealthiest Romans. However, these Romans in essence kept them in menageries and not as what we consider pets. These animals were generally intended to impress guests and to assert a relationship with a certain far-flung part of the republic or empire, depending on the time period. Romans also had an interest in keeping fish, and wealthy citizens would often have private fish ponds. Interestingly, Quintus Hortensius, a noted Roman orator, lawyer, and fish hobbyist, is recorded as being heartbroken over the passing of a particularly beloved eel. This suggests that in some circumstances, fish were seen not simply as ornaments for a fish pond, but were appreciated for their individual qualities. So I'm sure now you may be wondering how these animals were treated. The treatment of pets in ancient Rome varied widely depending on the type of pet. Dogs, for instance, were generally well cared for, and their loyalty was highly valued. For instance, one of the most iconic dog names of all time, Fido, goes back to ancient Rome and means faithful in Latin. There are numerous accounts of dogs being given funerary honors, which indicates that Romans had a strong bond with these animals. This emotional connection is also evident in the epitaphs that Romans wrote for their deceased pets. If one were to tell a Roman 2,000 years ago that Fido had passed on and that he was buried with a tombstone, this wouldn't have been an alien concept whatsoever. Conversely, animals like monkeys or exotic pets were unfortunately often treated more as novelties or status symbols. Monkeys were known for their mischievous nature, and their value lay more in their entertainment factor than in any emotional bond they shared with their owners. Birds, particularly exotic species, also served a dual role. While they were kept as pets, they were simultaneously a display of the owner's wealth and social status. In general, the Romans' relationship with their pets could be affectionate, but it was also utilitarian. Pets were expected to serve a purpose, whether it was guarding the home, catching pests, providing entertainment, or proving the wealth and influence of your family. Pets were a significant part of Roman culture, and this is reflected in the art and literature of the time. Mosaics depicting animals, particularly dogs and birds, were common in Roman homes. These mosaics often adorned the floors of atriums or gardens, showing the pride Romans took in their pets. The phrase cave canem, beware of dog, has been found in mosaics at the entrance of several Roman homes, including famously at Pompeii. This phrase is, of course, still commonly seen today, though presumably less commonly seen in mosaic form in the 21st century. In literature, pets were occasionally mentioned by Roman poets and writers, who highlighted both the affection and the utility that pets provided. Famed writer Pliny the Elder wrote about animals in Naturalis Historia, noting their various uses and the characteristics that made them suitable as pets. He described various animals' behavior and characteristics, noting his perception of their loyalty and intelligence. For instance, he admired dogs for their loyalty and protective instincts. In one part of Naturalis Historia, he recounted stories of dogs saving their masters or showing grief upon their death, which aligns with a sort of proto-pet appreciation. Pliny the Elder's admiration for dogs' loyalty and protective instincts reflects a metaphysical appreciation of them, at least among literate Romans. His anecdotes about dogs grieving or saving their masters suggest that Romans saw these animals as soulful. Though this can't be confirmed with any certainty, this recognition points to a deeper, almost spiritual bond with dogs at the very least. Pets were also part of religious life in ancient Rome. For instance, certain animals were used in religious rituals or even seen as sacred. Watching the behavior of birds was a significant part of Roman religion, so much so that auspice derives from the Latin word for divination, using birds' behavior patterns. Aleuromancy, or cat-based divination, was also practiced after the Romans became enamored with Egyptian culture and, by extension, cats. Dogs were also associated with Hecate, a powerful goddess of magic, and she was often depicted as traveling with hounds or turning into one herself. Notably, dogs were also part of sacrificial rituals to Hecate, as the unfortunate dogs were thought to be sent to her side to serve her. Roman society was surprisingly modern in its love for their pets, especially dogs. Romans gave their pets names, valued their loyalty, and integrated them into family life in a way that is largely familiar to us moderns. Even going back to Pliny the Elder, it's clear that there was already a nascent market for content about pets showing loyalty and affection to their owners. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell and turn on notifications. Also be sure to check out my main channel, Lazy Chill Zone, where I deal with unsolved mysteries, true crime, the occult, mythology, religion, and more.